They never warned you that the world sharpens its teeth the moment you turn your back, and every smile you trust is simply a mask waiting for the right moment to slip. You walk through life thinking loyalty is natural, thinking fairness exists, thinking effort alone crowns the worthy. But you're about to learn that power doesn't rise from kindness. It rises from calculation, from restraint, from the cold decision to stop living as prey. You're here because something in you is done being stepped over, something ancient and silent that's tired of pretending. I'm speaking to that part of you, the shadow self you've ignored, the one built for dominance, precision, control. From this moment forward, you stop bleeding for people who wouldn't give a drop for you. If you're ready to wake up, comment, "I choose power over illusion." Now breathe, because the descent begins. The first breaking of illusions. You've lived your whole life assuming people mean what they say, assuming their intentions match their words, assuming the world operates on some invisible contract of decency. But that contract was written by the weak to comfort the weak. The truth, the one no father dared to carve into your mind, is that most people don't want you strong. They want you predictable, emotional, controllable. They feed you soft ideas because soft men are easier to bend. And you, walking in good faith, never realize that every room has its hierarchy long before you step inside. You weren't taught to see it, but power sits quietly in the corners, watching, measuring who deserves respect and who can be used. You were raised to believe effort alone unlocks doors, but in reality, the world is a chessboard of unspoken rules, where the naive are sacrificed first, where intentions matter less than presence, where outcomes belong to the man who refuses illusion. This is your first fracture, understanding that fairness is a myth designed to pacify. To embrace power, you must abandon the fantasy that the universe rewards virtue. It rewards leverage. It rewards awareness. It rewards the man who sees everything for what it is, not what he hopes it to be. You're stepping into a colder realm now, where clarity hurts, but ignorance kills. And the sooner you accept that social dynamics are wars disguised as conversations, the sooner you'll stop losing battles you never realized you were fighting. You will feel a sting as this truth cuts, but let it carve you into something sharper. As you absorb this first lesson, comment, "I see through the veil." Let those words anchor your transformation. Because once illusion breaks, vision begins. Your instincts sharpen, your posture changes, and your silence becomes a weapon. And as this realization settles into you, the floor beneath your old beliefs starts to crack. And through that crack, something far stronger begins to rise, pulling you into a darker, more precise understanding of yourself and the world around you, guiding you toward the next truth hiding in the shadows. Power begins with self-control. Before you can command a room, before you can intimidate with silence or influence with presence, you must learn to conquer the storm inside your own mind. Because the man who can't master himself will always be mastered by others. Every outburst, every emotional leak, every moment where your impulses speak louder than your strategy exposes you like an open wound. People read you more than you realize. They watch the twitch in your jaw, the flicker in your eyes, the hesitation in your breath. And the world, in its quiet cruelty, exploits whatever it sees. This is why the foundation of power is not aggression, nor dominance, nor bravado. It is self-control, the cold discipline of choosing your response rather than reacting from instinct. You must understand something most men never grasp. Emotions are not weaknesses, but they are vulnerabilities when left undisciplined. The Machiavellian mind doesn't erase emotion, it chains it, trains it, uses it sparingly, like a weapon too dangerous to wield casually. When you hold yourself steady in moments others crumble, you become unpredictable, unreadable, untouchable. People fear what they cannot anticipate, and once they cannot read you, they cannot manipulate you. This is the quiet ascension of masculine stoicism, not numbness, but precision. You learn to speak less, observe more, and allow silence to do the heavy lifting. You begin to realize that most battles are lost before they're ever spoken aloud, lost in the cracks of your emotional instability. Control yourself, and you control the frame. Control the frame, and you control the outcome. Let that truth settle into you like iron cooling in water. If it resonates, comment, "My mind bows to no one." Feel how that line strengthens your spine. Because as your internal chaos begins to quiet, the world around you shifts. People start adjusting themselves when you enter. Conversations bend subtly in your direction. And just when you think you've grasped this power, a deeper shadow stirs, pulling you toward the next revelation, where trust itself becomes a battlefield hidden beneath familiar faces. Trust as a dangerous currency. Trust is the most expensive currency you will ever spend, yet most men throw it around like loose change, blind to the fact that every person who enters their life arrives with an agenda, hidden, subtle, or beautifully disguised. You were conditioned to believe trust is noble, that offering it freely makes you good, honorable, moral. But in the real world, trust is leverage handed to someone else, a blade you gift them with the quiet hope they won't press it against your throat. Machiavelli didn't warn you because he assumed you'd learn it the hard way. People reveal who they are not through their words, but through their patterns, and those patterns almost always tilt towards self-benefit. The naive man looks at intentions. The powerful man looks at incentives. Ask yourself what people gain from you, what they lose by betraying you, what they fear if they cross you. Trust becomes dangerous when you attach it to hope instead of evidence, when you confuse familiarity with loyalty, when you believe someone's presence means they stand beside you. In truth, many stand close only to measure what they can take. This is not cynicism. It is survival psychology, the understanding that trust must be rationed like oxygen in a room full of strangers. Give it slowly, withdraw it quickly, and never assume someone is as invested in you as you are in them. The strongest men are selective, not because they are cold, but because they know the cost of miscalculation. When you trust less, you observe more. And when you observe more, you control more. Trust should be earned through consistency, tested through time, and guarded with the same vigilance you'd use to protect a kingdom. If you understand this shift, this colder, sharper lens, comment, "My trust must be earned." Let that phrase anchor your rise. Because once you stop giving your loyalty to the undeserving, something inside you hardens, evolves, awakens. And as that awakening ripples through your thoughts, the world around you darkens into clarity, preparing you for a deeper truth, the art of becoming immune to manipulation itself. Manipulation awareness and psychological armor. Manipulation isn't always loud, obvious, or dramatic. Most of the time, it arrives wrapped in warmth, disguised as concern, affection, or harmless suggestion, slipping into your mind through the smallest cracks in your awareness. The truth they never taught you is that people manipulate not because they are evil, but because human beings instinctively seek advantage. And the easiest target is the one who doesn't realize they're in a psychological game. You must understand this. The world doesn't reward purity, it rewards perception. Power comes not from learning how to manipulate others, but from becoming immune to it, building a mental armor so refined that no guilt trap, no emotional bait, no subtle framing can bend your will. The Machiavellian mindset doesn't resist manipulation by fighting it head-on. It dissolves it by refusing to react, by analyzing the intention behind every word instead of the feeling it triggers. You begin to ask the questions most men are too asleep to ask. Why did they say that? What outcome benefits them? What truth are they hiding beneath their tone? Once you start questioning motives instead of taking messages at face value, you become untouchable because no one can steer a man who refuses to be steered. And this awareness isn't paranoia, it's precision. You don't assume the worst. You observe the truth without emotional fog. You don't confront manipulators, you let them expose themselves through their frustration when their tactics fail. The more silent you become, the more their strategies unravel. That is your power. Calm, detachment, paired with strategic clarity. And as your psychological armor thickens, you'll notice something remarkable. People who once controlled you now shrink in your presence, confused that you no longer move to their strings. Comment, "My mind is mine alone," if you feel this shift tightening inside you. Because once you master the art of resisting manipulation, you step into a realm of power few ever reach, where your silence becomes a shield, your awareness becomes a blade, and the path ahead leads you toward an even darker mastery, the silent presence that bends the world without a single spoken threat. Dominance through silence and presence. Powerful men don't announce themselves, they arrive, and the room adjusts. You've seen it before without understanding it. A man who speaks little, moves slowly, and yet commands more attention than the ones shouting for it. That is not an accident. That is weaponized presence, the kind forged when a man learns that silence is louder than noise, and composure cuts deeper than aggression. When you stop explaining yourself, stop justifying your choices, stop filling empty space with pointless words, people begin projecting their fears, assumptions, and insecurities onto you, and this projection becomes your leverage. In silence, they wonder what you're thinking. In stillness, they fear what you might do. In calmness, they question whether they've underestimated you. This is Machiavellian stoicism at its sharpest. You control others not by force, but by the uncertainty your restraint creates. The weak reveal themselves through oversharing. The strong reveal nothing. Your presence becomes a psychological mirror. Others expose their intentions, their lies, their desperation without you having to ask a single question. And when you do speak, your words carry weight because they aren't diluted by wasted breath. This is how you shift the balance of power. You speak rarely, but strategically. You move minimally, but decisively. You react slowly, but observe instantly. People begin stepping lightly around you, measuring their sentences, unsure where they stand. That uncertainty gives you the advantage no aggression can replicate. If this resonates, if you feel the cold confidence forming, comment, "My silence holds power." Let the phrase settle into your posture, because once you embrace silence as your weapon, the world begins revealing its secrets. You start noticing patterns you missed before, opportunities hidden beneath noise, weaknesses exposed in hurried voices. And as your presence solidifies into something immovable, something quietly dominant, a new awareness begins to flicker at the edge of your mind. The realization that every rise to power will be tested, and one force more than any other will chisel your instincts into razor-sharp clarity. Betrayal, waiting in the shadows to become your next brutal teacher. Betrayal as a teacher. Betrayal is the blade that forges you, the one wound that doesn't just hurt, it restructures you. The men who walk through life untouched by betrayal remain soft, delusional, dangerously unprepared. But the ones who've been cut, blindsided, gutted emotionally, those are the ones who develop instincts sharp enough to pierce through any facade. You've felt it before, that cold realization that someone you trusted was playing a different game, one where your loyalty was merely a convenience, your vulnerability, their opportunity. But instead of breaking you, betrayal offers a brutal gift, clarity. It strips away your innocence and forces you to confront the truth that not every friend is an ally, not every compliment is respect, and not every close presence is loyal. The Machiavellian mind understands betrayal not as a tragic event, but as a psychological initiation, a rite of passage into deeper awareness. The betrayal you survived rewired you, taught you to see patterns where others see kindness, taught you to sense shifts in tone, micro-expressions, inconsistencies in words. It taught you to read people not by what they say, but by what they avoid saying. And with every scar you've collected, your emotional armor thickened, your boundaries solidified, your tolerance for disrespect evaporated. You no longer give second chances to snakes who simply shed their skin. You no longer explain red flags to yourself through hope. You no longer tolerate half-truths, lukewarm loyalty, or one-sided effort. Betrayal didn't destroy you. It refined you. It made you precise. It made you colder in the right places and stronger in the places that mattered. If this truth hits something in your chest, comment, "My scars sharpen me." Because once you understand betrayal as a teacher, you stop fearing it and start learning from it. And this evolution shifts you again, pushing you into a more strategic version of yourself. A version that no longer reacts emotionally, but calculates, anticipates, and moves with deliberate intent. And as that colder intelligence settles into your bones, another lesson begins calling to you from the edge of your awareness. One that transforms not just how you feel, but how you think. The shift from emotional chaos to strategic, ruthless clarity. Strategy over emotion. Most men live like open books, easy to read, easy to provoke, easy to control, because they make decisions based on whatever emotion screams the loudest in the moment. Anger pulls them into traps. Fear freezes their ambition. Desire blinds them to danger. Approval starvation makes them obedient. But you are stepping into a different class now, the class of men who understand that emotion is a moment, while strategy is a lifetime. Power begins the second you stop reacting and start calculating. You learn to pause before speaking, observe before engaging, and think several steps ahead while others stumble blindly into the present. Machiavelli understood that the man who controls his emotions controls the battlefield, because most people don't think. They feel and then justify. When you detach from the pull of impulse, something incredible happens. The game slows down for you while speeding up for everyone else. You start seeing outcomes before they unfold, spotting motivations behind every action, predicting betrayals before they surface. And when emotions do come, because they will, you don't suppress them, you channel them. Anger becomes fuel for discipline, fear becomes data, desire becomes leverage. This is how the cold mind operates, not emotionless, but unemotionally driven. You stop fighting battles that don't advance your purpose. You stop explaining yourself to those who don't matter. You stop wasting energy on proving points and instead focus on positioning yourself where you no longer need to. Strategy is the art of making emotions serve you, not sabotage you. If you feel that shift cracking open inside you, if you sense the old version of you fading, comment, "I move with strategy, not impulse." Because as you step deeper into this mindset, your presence evolves again. You no longer appear chaotic, desperate, or easily swayed. You become deliberate, unreadable, quietly dangerous. And the deeper you walk into this internal clarity, the more you'll begin to understand another truth waiting in the shadows. Power doesn't just come from strategy. It comes from becoming the scarce one, the man whose value rises simply because he refuses to be easily reached. Scarcity, value, and social hierarchy. Powerful men are not defined by how much they offer the world, but by how selectively they offer it. Scarcity creates value, always has, always will, and the moment you stop being endlessly available, endlessly accessible, endlessly eager, people feel the shift like a cold wind cutting through their comfort. You were raised to believe that giving more makes you more worthy. But in reality, over-availability breeds disrespect. The world only cherishes what it fears losing, and it only fears losing what it cannot easily replace. The man who is everywhere becomes invisible. The man who is selective becomes magnetic. This is where social hierarchy begins to tilt in your favor, when you stop chasing seats at tables that don't honor your presence and instead build a space where others seek your attention. Machiavellian wisdom teaches that those who give too freely get used too quickly, and those who withhold strategically are the ones others orbit around. Scarcity is not about playing games. It's about knowing your value so deeply that you no longer tolerate environments, friendships, or relationships that drain you. You speak less, so your words hit harder. You appear less, so your presence lands heavier. You agree less, so your boundaries become unmistakable. And in this shift, people start adjusting themselves, measuring their tone, reconsidering their motives, treating you with the respect they once reserved only for those they feared or admired. Scarcity forces them to rise to meet you or fall away, and both outcomes serve you. If this realization resonates, if you feel your self-worth tightening like steel, comment, "I am valuable because I am scarce." Let that sentence anchor itself in your identity, because once you master the power of selective presence, you begin to see the deeper mechanics of ambition itself, the part that hides in your shadows, whispering for expansion, control, and legacy. And as your value solidifies, another force begins to awaken. Your ambition, no longer wild or impulsive, but disciplined, sharpened, and ready to carve its way through the world with calculated fire. Shadows of ambition. Ambition is a double-edged blade, deadly in the hands of the undisciplined, unstoppable in the grasp of the controlled. Most men either fear their ambition or let it consume them, but you are learning to do what few ever manage: harness it without being ruled by it. Deep inside, you lives a hunger, a restless force that whispers at night, telling you that you are meant for more than your current life, more than your current limitations, more than the small expectations others place on you. But here's the truth. Machiavelli understood: ambition without strategy is chaos, and ambition without restraint is self-destruction. The world is filled with men who burned out because they moved too fast, bragged too early, or exposed their desires to people who had every reason to sabotage them. Real power comes from hidden ambition, the kind that works in silence, grows in darkness, and reveals itself only through results. You don't owe the world an explanation for your drive. You don't owe anyone a preview of your next move. Let your ambition simmer privately, fueled by discipline, guided by clarity, protected by silence. The shadow of your ambition should be felt, not flaunted. Felt in your posture, in your decisions, in the way you remove yourself from mediocrity and walk with a purpose others can sense but cannot define. And as you ascend quietly, others will project their insecurities onto you, accuse you of changing, accuse you of becoming cold. Let them. That discomfort they feel is simply the echo of your elevation. If this message carves fire into your chest, comment, "My ambition moves in silence." Because once you embrace this darker form of ambition, controlled, measured, unexposed, you evolve into something rare, a man with momentum and mystery. And it is in that combination that true power begins to crystallize. As this transformation takes root, you will feel yet another shift approaching, one final ascent toward the identity you've been building piece by piece. The version of you that becomes immune, unshakable, and wholly untouchable. Becoming untouchable. There comes a moment in a man's evolution when he stops looking for approval, stops seeking validation, stops bending to expectations, and begins to operate from a level of internal authority so absolute that nothing external can shake him. Becoming untouchable isn't about becoming emotionless or unbreakable. It's about building yourself into someone who cannot be controlled, manipulated, or derailed by the noise of the world. It begins with a shift so subtle most men never notice it, the moment you stop responding to life and start dictating terms to it. You no longer move from fear, but from clarity. You no longer make decisions based on how others might perceive you, but based on what strengthens your position, your mind, your future. The untouchable man understands that his peace is a fortress, and he guards it with the same seriousness a king guards his throne. He no longer entertains drama because drama is the currency of the insecure. He no longer explains his boundaries because boundaries are for protection, not negotiation. He no longer argues with small minds because argument is a gift he refuses to offer to those unworthy of his time. His energy is precious, his presence is selective, and his silence is strategic. And when people realize they can no longer sway him with guilt, fear, or temptation, they begin to respect him, even if that respect comes wrapped in jealousy or intimidation. This is where true Machiavellian wisdom ignites. You influence, not by force, but by the gravity of your self-mastery. People study you, they mimic your discipline, they adjust their tone around you, You become the standard, not because you demanded it, but because you embodied it so fully that the world had no choice but to follow. Becoming untouchable is not about isolation, it's about elevation. You rise so steadily, so quietly, so relentlessly that the noise below you becomes irrelevant. You become a man governed by purpose, not impulse, by logic, not desperation, by direction, not distraction. And once the world realizes it cannot break you, it begins to bend to you. If this identity resonates, if you feel the weight of your old self slipping away and the blueprint of your new self settling into place, comment, "I walk as the untouchable." Let those words seal the transformation you've built through every shadowed truth in this monologue. And now, if this spoke to the part of you that refuses to live small, refuses to stay blind, refuses to be ordinary, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, because your rise has only just begun.